back, guys. I'm back. I'm in the greenhouse. It's hot, and I'm ready to pot up some tomatoes amongst other things. But the reason I was gone for a while is because I actually went up to Seattle with Jacques to the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, and we were gonna film a little off the homestead travel vlog, but it just got too insane because we ended up just eating dumplings for like 3 days straight and doing some gardening talks. But I'll give you a little montage of that trip right now. Jacques feeling a little self-conscious because I made him wear a straw hat.
In Seattle.
In Seattle. Hey Jacques, have you heard of that spot right there? I heard it's a really good coffee shop. It's a local spot here.
Oh, well, okay, go check it out.
So ever since Jacques was a young boy, he's wanted to see Pike's Place Market.
It's true.
What do we got here? Oh my, he's a speaker. He's a first-time attendee.
I'm gonna frame this.
Someone recognized him. They said he's counting. Jacques counting every recognition. We just found Jacques' house.
This is the Hermitage.
The Hermitage.
I'm
Welcome.
actually putting in an offer right now, so wish me luck, guys.
You're gonna see this guy on the main stage. We just took Jacques out for a little Thai dinner.
No,
First time he's ever seen a Ferris wheel.
The first Ferris wheel I've ever seen.
All right, guys, we abandoned Kevin today. I'm on the grind. I already got my cappuccino. We're gonna go get another bow. All right, this thing is actually ridiculous. It's got a sweet little crust on top, curry beef in there, really fire. So Kevin's definitely missing out on this one, and I'm not gonna bring him one.
So it's the next day. I get a text from Jacques. He says, "I'm already at Pike's Place. This guy just can't quit." Well. What are you up to here?
Some of the evidence was destroyed, but I already got a copy. Just leave it at that.
Let's get some breakfast. So I've got these tomatoes that are just a little too long. It's not that bad, but probably about a week over when I should have been potting them up. And I am gonna pot them up instead of put them right in the garden because it's basically March right now, and that's to me just a little bit too early for our zone here in 10B. Might not be for you though. So I've got my 4 cells. It's really nothing too fancy with this process. The only problem is I, again, waited a little bit too long. So let's take a look at some of the varieties I have. I have this Oxheart tomato. Take a look. It's like, it should be like here when I pot it up. It shouldn't be all the way out to here, but I'm gonna do my best. So I take the seed leaves off like this, boom, boom. And then because it's so long, I'm not even gonna put soil in before I fill. I'm just gonna go ahead and fill and see what happens. So this is the way I'm handling it this time. I'm just gonna backfill around like this with a light amount of soil. This is just a normal potting mix. It's probably something from maybe Fox Farms, might be the Strawberry Fields mix, but I'm not like amending it right now. I'm not doing too much in that way because I'm probably gonna do that with a liquid fertilizer. But notice how I'm just packing this down. Pretty important here. You don't wanna like cram it, but too loose, and you are gonna have some issues with this potting up technique. Now again, like I would really wish I planted to about there or about there, but I just don't have the tray for that right now. I don't have enough of a 5-cell pots that we have to do that. So I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna throw my label back in. And then the other thing that I'm gonna do at this point is, see how in this cell there's 2 tomatoes? Well, which one do you think is the better tomato? To me, it's pretty obvious. It's the one with a thicker stalk, more vigorous cotyledon, and also the more vigorous growth up top. So since I have 2 of these already, I don't want 4 of the same tomato when I have 20 different varieties. So I'm just gonna do a thin right there. If you really wanted to, you could then root that up and clone it or something like that, but you don't have to. By the way, guys, let me know what you think of this. This is a little behind the scenes. It's a test product. It actually fits perfectly in a 6-cell tray like that. Like, I'm talking perfect. And of course you can just pot it up to the 4-cell. It's a stainless steel plant tag. Super sturdy. You can wipe off the marker, no problem, because we use so much plastic that why not go a little metal on that? Just a little fancy. Let me know what you think. Because this is gonna take a while, I'm actually gonna water these in as I'm going because they'll wilt on a transplant. This tomato here is called Chocolate Sprinkles. Pretty curious about this one, never grown it. Usually not a fan of the chocolate varieties, but I guess we will find out how this one does for me this year. The reason I'm burying them deep, by the way, is because they will develop roots all along that stem point, and since I'm not transplanting them for a while, I'll give them that time to put on more root system so that when they do go out, they have even more energy producing ability or nutrient absorption ability. So we're moving along here. Paul's back at the homestead helping out. What's going on, Paul?
Not much, you know, potting up tomatoes.
Potting up Tommies in 96 degrees. So what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm just gonna fill the bottom of a fresh tray up with, I don't know, about ½ an inch worth of water. And then this is how I'm gonna get these tomatoes nice and clean and absorbing upwards, because remember the root systems are pretty much at the bottom of the tray because I dropped them in before I filled. You'll see wilting at the start of this process. It's fine, it's pretty natural. If you see too much, it might mean that you didn't put enough soil in there, you didn't compact it enough, so it's kind of floating in air. But this is really all you need to do for potting up. This buys you like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, depends on how big a pot you put it in. And the last thing I'm gonna do, 2 last things actually, are a quick top water just to get the top of the soil. And then since I have really floppy ones, this is not something I would normally do, but in this case I kind of have to, in my opinion. I'm just gonna give these a bit of a stake up. Now it is on to thinning out the rest of the seedlings. So this is some DeChico broccoli. When you let them get this long, they can just have some issues. They can cause cramping in the trays. The tray themselves gets really crazy. You can have disease. So I'd prefer to never let them get this long, but because I'm planting backups always, I'd rather have the backups than not. And so I just do a little bit of thinning like this to clear out a tray. And I just almost ripped those out of the ground. But take a look, I mean, these are the thinned ones. These are not, looks way better, way more manageable. I don't get as much overwhelm by going, what the heck is in these trays, man? Okay, the tomatoes are done. Let's get out of the greenhouse. It is so hot in there. Let me show you what's going on in the backyard garden. Some really cool additions this year. So this is from Seed. This is Linaria. This is a fairy mix. Look at the colors here. You've got this sort of purple yellow, you've got blue, white, and yellow. You have sort of an off yellowy color here, and then even a lighter, I don't know, pink maybe? I'm kind of colorblind. We've just been kind of dotting this around in all different areas. We've got Cosmos hanging out right there. This is our brassica backyard patch. Got some beautiful broccoli right there. More broccoli there. That flower patch that Jacques and I planted a while ago, maybe a couple months back. Look at how thick and lush it is. This beautiful border planting. So as you come around this way, you can see everything's coming up. Look at these sunflowers. These things are massive, right? And then another fun thing we did is we noticed that there was the border planting and there was the brassica bed, but there was like a little walkway here where I was like, well, I'm not gonna walk there. I'm pretty much never gonna walk there. So we put in some onions and some leeks, just dotting it in here because it's gonna come up straight with these like spiky leaves and provide a nice contrast between the color here, the texture here, and then these larger fanned out darker green leaves here. Over here with the hens, this one right here, Chetty, has learned to fly the coop. She's pretending like she doesn't know what I'm talking about, but like every morning, either myself or my girlfriend will be out here, we'll see her in the compost bin. She's just like standing right here. And then Fabka, the little garden cat who's not here right now, will be standing right here waiting to eat a mouse or something like that. Compost looking pretty good. We're in stable state, just steady state, probably about 90 degrees or so. Haven't turned this in a while. Let's see what we're going over here. Yeah, about the same. So we're gonna do a bit of a turn at some point, but for now I'm just kind of leaving it. Over here, this is something I think is really important. So best carrot and beet bed I've had in quite some time. We did carrots, beets, carrots, so a nice sort of line out. But what I did just now is I actually thinned these out like crazy. So I'll show you my logic here. So on the beets, usually about 3 inches apart. So this would be good spacing from here to there. That'd be optimal, I would say. But these ones I'm leaving. Why? Because they seem to be sizing, and so I'm not too worried about it. But I pulled one that was right there. I pulled one that was right there. And you know, over here, similar. I pulled a bunch right in the middle of this right here, but I left this one and I left that one. And it's very similar with these carrots. Let me see if I can get a good example for you. So you take a look at this spacing. It's about an inch or so. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. There were like 2 carrots there, 3 more there. There was a bunch right there. They're just never gonna grow in that well, but I'll show you what I did with the trimmings. So these are all the little baby thinnings that I got out. There's actually some pretty nice prize size baby beets. This is a Chioggia style beet. These are the Detroit dark reds. There's a couple goldens in here. There's a bunch of carrots. So first off, I think a lot of people don't thin their plants enough. I mean, this is a thinned out carrot, but this is effectively a gourmet, delicious baby carrot. I mean, let's try it. Really sweet because of the cold temperatures that we've been having. Very tasty. Not underdeveloped at all. I thinned out, I would say about half that entire row. The resulting carrots that are left in the row are gonna get much, much larger and more delicious than this. But these ones, including the beets, you can pickle these, you can sort of roast them in a pan and sort of serve them as one large dish. So there's so much you can do with it, but it's very important to make sure you thin out some of those root crops if you want massive development. You don't have to, but to me, you get a lot better results. Next up on the to-do list, these beans. Look how tall they are. Started them in trays. Yes, you can do it, but it's kind of a mistake if you let them go this long. That's fine though. I'm gonna just kind of dot them around this garden, and I'll show you how I plant them when they're this tall. So beans are a plant that I frankly don't really thin out. Obviously this one is kind of dead, but in the case of, let's say, this, I would just leave these two as is, and I'm gonna plant them this deep. You totally can do that. So I'm just gonna stab in as deep as I can. I see some nice worm activity here, and then just line these in. And I'm not gonna worry about these too much. They're probably gonna have a little bit of transplant shock. They might yellow a little bit, but see how nice and firm they are at that height? It's a really healthy height for them to be at. They're gonna thrive in this soil. The only other thing that I might do, I'm not gonna do it in this case, is, again, very deep, but I'm gonna take a little bit of this mycorrhizal inoculant here, this stuff right here, just toss it in. It's not the end of the world to use a bit of that. Just hopefully can help out. I'm actually unfamiliar, just off the top of my head, if beans are able to. I think they may be one of the plants that is not able to because they have the nitrogen fixation thing going on, because some plants have a hard time with mycorrhizal inoculants. I don't know why, but I'm forgetting off the top of my head if beans are one of those. Either way, man, I'm seeing a lot of worm life in here. This is so cool. Look at these guys. Not only am I seeing worms like this guy here, but I'm seeing baby worms like this guy right here. That means they're reproducing, which means that they're in an environment conducive to reproduction, which means that the soil is looking pretty damn healthy. Okay, take a look at that, guys. Nice little bean semicircle. The reason it's a good idea to plant beans all in one place is because chill, Chatty. She's mad that I figured out her secret. The reason why it's a good idea to do that, put beans in one spot, is because as they mature, you really want to be harvesting them daily to keep production going. And if you kind of dot them around the garden space, honestly, you're just gonna get annoyed. You know, imagine if I had some up here, some back there, some over there. I would be very annoyed walking to like 3 or 4 places every single day to get those beans. So just make your life a little bit easier. You can create a cool design like I just did with that semicircle. But man, I can feel spring coming. I can feel it coming. Feels good. I'm feeling good. I've been running a lot lately. Girlfriend and I have been running, and it's been mentally challenging, but also physically very stimulating. Super, super good for my like resting heart rate and all that. So your boy's continuing on his health journey. I want to show you guys the garlic. We finally took the cover off. Probably the best looking garlic I've ever had at this time of year. Nearly 0 issues. We are fertilizing it about once a week with a 644 organic fertilizer. You want as much leafy growth as you can early on, AKA from now until about May-ish, and then all that bulb development starts to happen. You tile down the fertilizer. Just pruned off these kales. They look a little bit weak sauce. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Jacques' tree collar he's had for like 17 years. Don't go over to his feed and comment that he needs to get rid of that tree collar, guys. Definitely don't do that. But we've got the beets, we got a new lettuce bed coming in, the chard's looking amazing. Got more brassicas and onions over here, and the peas with this little mixed bed. I actually really like this. This is the Frere trellis from Seattle Urban Farm Company. We stock this one on our store now, super proud to be carrying it. And you go peas up in the middle, because this just splits the bed right in half. And then I've got like beets, kales, lettuce on this side, and similarly over on this side. So it's a really fun way to do a bit of a mixed bed. And if you really were thinking about optimizing, you might put all your shade tolerant greens on this side because the sun doesn't really get through to here, and you might put a little bit more of your sun loving stuff on this side. Much more to come. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Good luck in the garden and keep on growing.